invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we gather here today to make decisions that are going to be beneficial for Caddo Parish. Hope that we can do that and take everything in stride. These prayers I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the regular scheduled public meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Shreveport-Caddo Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission. For public hearing agenda items, if you wish to make public comments on an application, we have comment slips at the speaker stand next to the podium. For future notification purposes, it is very important that you fill out a slip and drop it in the box when you come forward to speak. Please state your full name, mailing address, and zip code before addressing the board. We will call each case on the agenda in order and hear first from the applicant, then those speaking in favor. 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. We will then hear from those wishing to speak against an application. Again, 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. One representative of the application may then speak in rebuttal if desired. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate and vote on that case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. Please note that when the board is deliberating, members of the public are not permitted to comment. Any member of the public may request a copy of the board's decisions on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 p.m. tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcaddompc.com. All ZBA board decisions on variances to zoning within the city limits of Shreveport are subject to appeal to district court. All ZBA decisions on parish variances to zoning are subject to appeal to the parish commission. All ZBA board decisions on special exception uses within the city limits of Shreveport are subject to appeal to city council. All ZBA board decisions on parish special exception uses are subject to appeal to the parish commission. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact either district court or the parish administrator's office about their procedures as related to the matter you are concerned with. Copies of this document and the phone numbers to contact the governing bodies are available on the table next to the podium and in the entryway to this room. As a courtesy, please remember to turn off cell phones while the ZBA is in session. The Zoning Board of Appeals values your testimony and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. Before we move on with official business, I would like to take a moment to comment on last month's scheduled meeting of the board. Regretfully, due to a perfect storm resulting from board vacancies and professional obligations, we were unable to hold a hearing in July. I think I speak for everyone on the board in saying that we each take our responsibility to the community seriously. I've served on this board for 13 years, and to my knowledge, this was the first instance in my tenure that a hearing was forced to cancel without prior notice. I would like to again extend apologies on behalf of the board to those applicants and citizens who were here who were inconvenienced by the situation, and to thank them for their patience. What do we hear regarding the minutes from June 16th and July 21st meetings?
Move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, first case on today's agenda is case number 21-4-BAP. Mr. Sorge?
Yes.
This is not Mr., is it? It's, I can't see your rank.
Master Sergeant.
Master Sergeant Sorge.
This
You'll
is-
just give us your name and address and then a brief description of what you're here to request.
My name's Stephen Sorge, 5425 Leisure Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. Just trying to get a variance to put a garage, two-car detached garage up on my property that was replacing the one that was there when I bought the place that was falling apart and so forth, so on. And it's gonna be, the siding and roofing will match the house and everything else.
All right, any questions from the board? All right, sir, thank you for your service. Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-4 BAP? Anyone wish to speak against case 21-4 BAP? All right, what do we hear from the board?
I move to approve the variance.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss to approve. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case number 21-11-BAC. Ms. Stevenson, 6327 Timberman Place. Is there a Ms. Stevenson here? Anyone wishing to speak for case 21-11-BAC?
Mr. Chair.
Is staff aware of any?
Yes, I believe that she had a conflict in her schedule. She was scheduled to be here last time, and since it was postponed, she had another obligation and was not able to make this meeting.
All right, well, we have the staff recommendation, the staff report. Is there anyone wishing to speak once again for case BAC 21-11? Anyone wish to speak against this case? What do we hear?
Move to approve per the staff report.
Motion by Mr. Farrell to approve,
I second it.
second by Mr. Hendricks. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Tab 8 is case 21-3-BAP. Safe Haven Holdings, Overton Brooks Road at Norris Ferry. Anyone here with Sealy Real Estate? All right, anyone wish to speak against case 21-3-BAP? What do we hear?
Move to approve based on the staff assessment.
Motion by Mr. Moss to approve,
Second.
second by Mr. Farrell. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case 21-10-BAC, 5617 Falamont Street. Yes, sir. Please give us your name, mailing address, and zip code, and then tell us what you're here to request.
Epperson Marie Moran, 5617 Falamont, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109.
All right.
It's about a fence they're saying is too high, and it's 6 feet tall, but it's a wooden fence, but we located in a dead end street, and we was at the very dead end of the street, and we have a 6 feet wooden fence put there, but they have some apartments right there by it. And it has been a lot of shooting, a whole lot of violence in the apartments. And that's why I got the fence put up for my mother's sake.
Okay, and I guess just to stipulate, the reason why it's not allowed is it extends beyond the front line of your home.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Anything up to that line is permissible. And just so you understand why you're here, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions from the board for Mr. Efferson? And just for the record, you are Michael Efferson?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's,
Any questions from the board?
And I guess this is coming as a question, but I was just looking at some the feedback that we got on this, and you putting up that fence. What did you take any safety precautions when putting up that fence?
yes, sir, cause directly by us is Clear Horizon Apartments.
Uh-huh.
And they've been having a lot of shooting right there in that spot there. And I did it because she afraid to sit on her porch. And when you're afraid to sit on your porch at your own house, you can tell there's something wrong.
Okay.
And like I said, a bullet don't have anybody's name on it.
Exactly.
So I'm just doing it for her protection.
I understand. Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Epperson.
Yes, sir.
Are you opposed to dropping the fence down to the allowed height as it gets into the front yard?
Yes, long as it will be to compliance where if anything do occur and they do get shooting, and long as the bullet can't come through there.
Right, I don't think
Yeah.
that fence gonna stop a bullet.
I'm not gonna stop.
So what
Well,
I'm saying is,
I think if it was a cyclone, it wouldn't even stop it, period. And this is wood.
right,
And it would have an effect on some of the capacity if it is a bullet shot.
right. So my question to you is, do you have an objection to lowering the fence as it comes into the front yard?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, any more questions for Mr. Efferson? Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-10-BAC?
Hello. My name is John James. My home is at 5701 Fallamont. And I understand the reason why he put the fence up. He put the fence up because of the violence in the area. Now, the apartments that he's referring to is about maybe a couple hundred feet. And they have a cyclone fence up there. But like he said, those bullets don't have a name on it. And if a bullet was to stray down to his area, that fence would have it would be a barrier because the bullet probably would just stick in the fence rather than hit the person that's sitting out in their front yard. I don't have any problem with him having a fence. For him lowering the fence, it wouldn't do any good for him to lower the fence because the bullet, I mean, it would do no good for him to lower the fence below 6 feet. So he really wants to have the fence as it is for protection, for his mother to sit out in her yard. And like I said, I live down the street from him, and I haven't any objection to it. He is on a dead end, so therefore it shouldn't have any issue with anyone else having any problems with it because it's right at the dead end almost. Fallamont, it's not a through street. it's a dead-end street.
All right, thank you very much, Mr.
All right.
James.
Thank you.
Anyone else, anyone else wish to speak for case 21-10-BAC? Sir, do you have a mask?
No, I don't. The officer did. I asked him if I needed one. He just told me to go in.
You're required to have a mask in the room.
I apologize. I'll get one after I speak, since everybody pulled their mask down to talk. So,
Fair enough.
fair enough. Thank you, sir. My name is Jordan Barron. I'm at 117 Jordan Street, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101. I would like to speak in his favor for the simple fact that if I lived in a bad neighborhood, especially at the end of a dead-end street, and I'm not going to be causing any trouble with traffic, so it's not a safety hazard for people driving. If I lived in a bad neighborhood and there were gunshots regularly, I would like a fence that's at least high enough to stop around from hitting anyone that I loved. Now, on the course of around not being stopped by a privacy fence, it would certainly stop several rounds, basically all hollow point rounds. It would absolutely stop. And any other rounds of a heavier ballistic, literally it would change the trajectory of the round, just as in whenever we're going over cases where people are being shot through windows of cars and things of that nature through glass. The glass is actually hard enough to change the trajectory into a downward angle. Wood, as we know, is going to be a lot stronger than glass, so it would actually increase such an angle and trajectory of the ballistics. So even if the round does go through, there's a very likely chance that it would actually hit the ground before it hits the person. And moreover, if it does hit the person, its velocity would be massively decreased, which means it would more than likely cause far less damage to the person if it does hit them. So for safety's sake, I'd like to say let her have it, or let him have it, because, I mean, we're here to help each other, right?
All right. Any questions for Mr. Barron? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would reiterate that to be in this chamber, you must be wearing a mask at all times unless you were speaking at the mic at the lectern. Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-10-BAC? Anyone wish to speak against 21-10-BAC? I will say that we, for the board, if you haven't seen them, we do have 2 letters in opposition. If you have a chance to look at those. And I will also state, just for clarification, this is not actually at the dead end of the street. This property is on a dead end street, but it is 4 houses from the end of the cul-de-sac. So it is a bit of an obstruction for those remaining houses at the end. Just for those of you who are unable to see the location of the home. All right, if there no one to speak against, what do we hear?
I'd like to address Mr. Everson.
Actually, before we actually have 2 variances on this, and he is not. Mr. Everson, could you please come back? Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, sir.
You addressed the fence, but you also have a variance for a carport. Could you tell us about the
Miss
carport?
Korea, she said that since the carport's been there like 27 years, it wasn't going to be any problem.
Well, it's non-conforming at this point. So now that it's brought to our attention, we have to either give you permission for it,
Yes, sir.
or take permission away, which means you have to
Yes.
take it down. Am I incorrect in that, Mr. Jean?
No, that is incorrect. What this would do by granting this, he would have a compliant site. So if he wanted to do some additions to his property or some modifications to his property, he would have no nonconformities on his property. But he wouldn't have to just remove it if you denied it.
So our choice today, to be clear, is that we give him permission to have it going forward, or if a denial means he remains non-conforming.
That's correct.
Thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Everson? I think Mr. Hendricks, you did?
Yes. Mr. Everson, there are two people in opposition that wrote letters in today, and their letters address the consideration that I would have if it were my property on either side. The one being when your neighbor tries to back out of the driveway, the fence is too close to the street. And she says she can't see because you have other trees that are blocking as well. That's a safety issue. That's a second.
Okay.
And by lowering the fence some on the front, I think that would alleviate some of that problem. The other thing is the safety on the outside, on your two neighbors as well. They talk about their nails that are protruding from the other side of the fence. That's a safety hazard.
Yes.
If they have children or animals that, are in that area, I think that needs to be addressed as well.
Yes, sir.
Because when I look at this picture, that's a lot of nails.
Well,
Mr. Moeller, do we have that photograph?
I'll get somebody to bend the nails or whatever, but as it coming out, I cut half of the fence off so they could see out of their yards.
Mr. Moeller is this one. Mr. Moeller?
I got it.
We do not have that
Okay.
one in the packet.
Just so everyone can see what Mr. Hendricks is referencing.
Okay, the nails, I see the nails.
Yeah, so every pole on that fence has those nails sticking out like that.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean,
Yes,
somebody could be
sir.
out there cutting their grass and they just inadvertently walk by it and cut themselves, or children or animals out there. That needs to be addressed as well.
Well, we got that on our property with the nails, but I didn't know it was sticking out like that. And I could have somebody to come in and bend all the nails down.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, any more questions for Mr. Jefferson? Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have two variances. We're going to split the vote on these. The first variance for consideration is the fence height. What do we hear?
I would, my motion is to approve the variance with the modification of lowering the fence to the allowed height for being in the front yard.
Well, then that means we deny the variance, because he could,
Okay.
if we allow the variance, there's no reduction in height.
Okay.
If I'm speaking correctly, Mr. Jean?
That's correct. I was gonna say the same
So
thing.
The way to get it to 3 feet is to deny the variance, and he will be required to reduce it from the front edge of the house forward at a height of 3 feet.
Okay.
Or, I don't know how high the chain link is. The chain link is allowed at whatever height it is, because it's not solid.
It looks like it's 4 feet.
Now, Mr. Hendricks, if you wanted him to lower the fence for a distance that's, say, half the distance between the street and the house, then that would be a condition you put on it that would still require a variance.
Okay.
We could
Because you
also
would
lower
vary,
it to
you'd
the
be
height of the
varying
chain
the
link.
height for that distance from the middle of the distance back to the house. Do you follow me?
Right. So he needs to apply for another variance to do that?
No, you don't have to apply for another variance. You can, you have the ability to grant partial variances
Okay.
and put conditions
Okay.
and any approval that's in front of you. So if you wanted to say, well, I don't want to grant the whole variance for the entire front yard, but I want to be able to grant for half of it, then he would have to bring the fence height down for at least half that distance between him and his front building line.
So we wouldn't have to deny it in order to do that, right?
No, we wouldn't,
Okay.
you would approve it, but
Approve it.
you'd be approving only a
It's a
partial
partial.
variance instead of the full variance.
Okay.
Do you follow me?
Yes. Okay, well, I'll withdraw that incorrect motion.
You could just restate.
Yeah, I want to restate, we want to, but the motion is to allow a partial variance where the distance from half the house to the street will be lowered to 3 feet. Now, I noticed, let me look back again, the fence the cyclone fence is 4 feet tall,
It appears.
correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before I finish my motion, this is to staff. If he lowered the fence to the height of the cyclone fence, is that okay? Or does it have to be 3 feet since it's a solid structure?
You would just be you could grant the variance, a 2-foot variance for the distance from the right-of-way back to half the distance to the house.
Okay, so 4 feet would be okay.
Yes, if you wanted, because you're granting a variance anyway, so
Okay. All right,
you can grant whatever distance and whatever height that you like.
okay. All right. All right, so the partial variance, the motion is to lower the fence from halfway of the front yard to the street, down to the cyclone fence, and also to address the safety issue of the nails on the backside of the fence.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, so for the record, we have a motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss. Partial variance of 2 feet height from half the distance between the existing end of the fence to the front of the house. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, what do we hear? I mean,
And also the safety of those nails.
and to have the nails addressed. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. The second variance for Mr. Efferson under 21-10-BAC is the carport variance. A vote to approve means that it can stay as it is. A vote to deny means that it can stay there, but if any further construction happens, it then has to be addressed and brought into compliance. What do we hear?
I vote to approve.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss. Please vote. Up. Sorry. Motion carries unanimously. I just would say this is true for anyone else who has a case here today. Mr. Jefferson, if you have questions about the specifics of what we voted on, you can get with staff after this meeting, and they will explain exactly what you need to do. All right, that brings us to tab 10, which is case 21-14-BAC, 5707 King Street. If you'll pull the microphone down just a little bit so we can hear you. There you go.
Okay. I am Aquilyn Brown, project representative for Carlos Diaz at 57.
Sorry, you can take your mask off.
Oh,
when
I'm
you're
sorry.
on the podium so we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Aquilyn Brown. I'm the project representative for Carlos Diaz at 5707 King Street. We put in an application for a special exception use for the manufactured home to be moved to the land that he purchased last year for his family.
All right, and just to be clear, this is not a new structure, correct? It's being moved, is it an older unit being moved?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. And you understand all the stipulations that have to happen to bring it into
Yes, sir.
compliance if we approve this, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, bear with me a moment, please. All right, do we have any questions from the board for Ms. Brown? All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-14-BAC? Anyone wish to speak against? I'm sorry, are you coming to speak for or against?
I just have a question I want.
Okay, come on forward.
How y'all doing? My name is Latice Taylor. I'm staying at 332 West 76th Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. I just have a question I want to ask because I have some property over there as well. I just wanted to know like where. I just don't want it to be on mine. That's all I'm saying. I know she said they purchased it last year. I'm thinking it's across the street, but I'm not sure.
What is the address of your property?
Well, it's just like a couple of lots.
Well,
It's
it'll still
like-
have an address, I
Yes,
believe.
Yeah.
Do you not have an address associated with it?
Oh, yeah.
Lot number.
Um,
And please silence your phones.
Mr. Moeller, could you put up the map for us and maybe help her decide it or discern if this is a lot or not? So we have a map up, ma'am.
Ben, put the other one up, because that shows clear, yes.
Yeah, ma'am, we have a map up here. If you can see, that's that the hashed area is the lot in question. King Street is above it. And then the cross street is Nelson. So if you could look on the map that Mr. Mueller has and see if you can determine,
Okay, let me see.
or if you have a street address, that would be helpful.
I guess this one.
Yeah, that would be
Right here.
So it would be here.
Okay.
So I mean, this is where it's going.
Okay. Okay, he showed it to me.
Okay, all right,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Anyone else wish to speak for case BAC 21-14 BAC? All right, anyone wish to speak against 2114 BAC?
How you doing? My name is Brandon Moses, 9403 Leaside Way.
Sorry,
Street.
you can take
Oh.
and speak right into the microphone for us.
My name is Brandon Moses. My address is 9403 Leaside Way, Shreveport, Louisiana. Zip code 71118.
Okay.
I'm here on behalf of my father, Mr. Samuel Moses, who owns the property. But what has happened with that property, they lost it through the, like for taxes and stuff. So I've just not got the property, my siblings to sign off on the property, and all I'm doing is waiting for everything to go through the court for next month, that I can go over to the bailiff and over and pay care of the back taxes on it. 'Cause I still have 2 years in order to redeem the property.
Okay. And you have some documentation there?
Oh, no, sir, I got a document from y'all sending this letter here. That's about
Right.
it.
So your assertion is that 5707 King Street belongs to your family?
Yes, sir. Samuel Moses, the one y'all just sent this letter to.
All right, and so per the staff report, what is currently on that property?
There's a couple of cars on the property and a steel fence. Property's pretty much vacant, just a little steel fence and some about 3 or 4 vehicles on it, abandoned vehicles.
All right.
Just a second, Mr. Chair. Will we require proof of ownership when we process these cases?
Well, if they purchased it tax sale, it's going to look like they own it.
Yeah, this is nothing that we're going to be able to resolve in this meeting.
Right, so-
I would recommend that we defer the
Right.
case so we can do some more
All right, thank you, Mr.
exploration.
Moses.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
We will look into this. Anyone else wish to speak against BAC 21-14 BAC? You speaking against?
I just spoke, I'm the representative.
Well, okay, not yet.
Okay.
So anyone else wishing to speak against? All right, Ms. Brown, you may come back for a rebuttal.
Alcolin Brown, the representative of Carlos Diaz. As you may know, you have to turn in documentation for proof of ownership, and we have submitted that. Also, it's in the Caddo Parish report that I have here. And if you like the text deed sale, I can provide that as well.
Okay, you can submit that. I think we're probably going to have to get this looked at before we make a determination today.
Okay,
All right?
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, the chair makes a motion to defer and continue for 30 days.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hendricks. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case number 21-15-BAC, 101 East Jordan Street.
Hello, my name is Stephen Jones. I'm the owner of the house at 101, and I live at 101 East Jordan Street in Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. And I'm requesting, I have an 8-foot fence that I built on a partial part of my yard, but it is along the street and I'm on a corner property, so that's why the variance needs to be approved. The previous fence, I've been living at the house about 10 years or a little longer, and when I moved there, the fences were new. And the problem is there's a concrete wall that's right up against, on Jordan Street, against the fence and goes all the way to the front yard. The wall gets bigger toward my backyard, so I had a 6-foot fence originally, and it was only like, if you can see, the fence is way back there, but that's an 8-foot fence against the wall there. So as it goes toward the back, it gets taller, the wall does. So if somebody wants to, if it was a 6-foot fence, imagine 2 feet lower, people can just hop over the fence in my backyard, which they did plenty of times, breaking the previous 6-foot fence. That's one problem. Now they've stolen some things for us. We've called the police a number of times to investigate and do those kind of things. So that's why, one of the reasons we put the 8-foot fence up. The other reason is, in my opinion, the most important one is a safety reason. Little kids like to play on that wall. So what they do is, with the 6-foot fence, and I'm talking about little kids like maybe, short ones, so they can reach on the top of the fence so they can hold on while they're running along the wall playing. The wall is almost a foot wide. But they fall off of it. I've seen 2 instances just out my kitchen window where the kids fall off the wall because they're playing on the wall. With an 8-foot fence, they can't reach the top to hold on, so they have no desire to go on the wall anymore. So that's another reason. So that's basically the 2 reasons I built the fence: for safety and security, keep people from stealing, because we've had garden vegetables stolen, ladders, a variety of other smalling rakes and stuff. Most everything else is locked up. And then the other is the safety concern for the children. I've seen 2 things happen with the kids in my 10 years there with my own eyes. I can't imagine if it's happened other times when I wasn't watching. And then a recommendation by the commission, I guess they said, what if I had an open fence or a tall open fence? Well, that still gives them something to grab onto, and it still allows people to see through the fence to see what's in my backyard. So, and it's really easy to scale a 3-foot section of a fence when you got a wall to stand on. And then once they get in my backyard, then they got to get out, and there's no wall on the other side, so then they break the fence getting out. So that's why the 8-foot fence.
Well, it appears to me, correct me if I'm wrong, this looks like it's part, like the fence, it continues down to the corner to like an entryway to the street, like this was put in as part of the subdivision, not
Yes.
by the homeowner, right?
Right,
This
and it
looks like
crosses the street onto the other side.
Right, this is like the entrance to that, it's got the columns,
Yes.
so you don't, okay. That's reasonable to me. All right, any questions for Mr. Jones? Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak for case BAC 21-15?
Hello again. My name is Jordan Barron, 117 Jordan Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I am directly across the street from this gentleman. I don't know if y'all have a picture of it, but that whole corner. So basically, everything this man mentioned, I've seen. children, young teenagers, and whatnot are always constantly climbing on that wall. They're constantly, I know he didn't mention this, but I feel like it's important because it happens on my side of the street as well. Countless beer cans, glass bottles being tossed on both sides of the street into our yards. Now, I don't have a fence, but that 8-foot fence sure does make it seem like he's not going to be hitting glass beer bottles with his lawnmower every day or every week when he cuts his grass, which there in and of itself is a major safety hazard, because if that lawnmower hits a glass bottle and shoots it out in the street, there's children and people walking up and down that street all hours of the day and night, so there ain't no safe time to cut the grass. I've tried walking my yard and looking for it, and even after walking my lawn, I've found where they've tossed used guns, handguns, in the yard, and the police had to come out and look at it, and that's after walking before I cut the grass. So I know he's got to have just as many problems with this, and that people throwing that sort of stuff in your yard, that's just not good. And that 8-foot fence, that's only on the back side of his house. There's absolutely nothing. It doesn't show it in the picture, but there's nothing but an empty lot on the other side. So nobody's going to be getting their vision blocked. So there's no traffic concerns, and that the fence that he put up is only on the back side of his house, basically. So there's no blocking any vision for traffic. As the gentleman mentioned, to the corner where the pillars go, whatnot, those pillars would be the only thing that blocks any kind of vision there. So honestly, if I didn't have any distance between my house and the street like he does, I'd absolutely want an 8-foot fence, because they're tossing beer bottles and shooting all day, all night in that area. That's right there. I mean, if anybody knows anything about Alexander Street near Stoner, so he's trying to make the place nicer, so and safer. So I definitely for him.
Thank you, Mr. Barron.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else wish to speak for 21-15-BAC?
Hello, my name is Teresa Shine. I live on 120 Jordan Street, and I'm only a couple of houses away from Mr. Jones. And I like his home. He keeps it up very nicely. He works hard for his place, and there is no vision problems with his fence, and it is a safety issue. A major safety issue. That was why he put the fence up there. We do have problems with people hopping fences and trying to get into people's homes and stealing out of their yards. So I am all for what the gentleman did. It looks great. It's not a problem, and he's fixing a lot of problems that are there. So I am very for him, and one day maybe I'll be able to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for?
Good afternoon. I am Stephen's neighbor, directly east, next door to him.
Could we get your full name and address, please?
Oh, Gwendolyn Hudgens. Oh, full name, property name. Gwendolyn Diane Briscoe Hudgens. And I live directly next door to him. And we've been neighbors. I've been there 21 years, and Stephen has been there upwards of 20. And he's a very good neighbor. Prior to these issues that are being addressed today, we had some issues. There was no fence. People had access to my yard because there was no fence. We had some theft and trash being thrown and this kinds of thing. And as he said, as it is now, the children can swing on the fence and possibly hurt themselves. But also, the main issue was the trespassing into the yard. And since the fence has been erected, we haven't had that issue. Stealing vegetables, equipment. I even had my lawnmower taken because they had access to my house, which was next door. Fortunately, we were able to get that back. And Mr. Jones, he's very conscientious, and he looks out for his neighbors, which is a good thing. I'm an elderly, mature woman, excuse me. And Mr. Jones, he affords me a lot of security, and I would definitely hate to see him have to dismantle that fence or lower it because of the children and the thieves and the looters and the trash and all of that. So I'm definitely in favor of Mr. Jones retaining the fence as is.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchins.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
It. Anyone else wish to speak for case BAC 21-15? All right, anyone wish to speak against 21-15? BAC. All right, what do we hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Horn, I believe. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case number 21-16-BAC, 2834 Willie Mays.
Hi, my name is Taylor Sweat, and the address is 2834 Willie Mays. And I am here for a special exemption to place a manufactured home on the property.
All right. Any questions from the board for Ms. is it Sweat?
Sweat.
Sweat.
I don't.
Besides, that's a nice structure. It's nice.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-16 BAC? Anyone wish to speak against 21-16 BAC? All right, what do we hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Moss to approve, second by Mr. Hendricks. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case 21-17 BAC, 5652 King Street.
Hello, I'm Angel. I live at 7413 Pines Road.
Sorry,
And
what's your last name?
Jones.
All right, thank you. And full address and zip code, please.
Shreveport, LA 71129.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ernestine Jones, she just wanted to do a special exception use for a manufactured home on 5652 King Street.
Okay.
And we did get a lot of signatures from the neighbors. I'm also her neighbor as well, so I don't have a problem with it. Most of the neighbors, well, all the ones we spoke with, they actually agree with it as well, so.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Jones?
I just,
Hold on, 1 second.
okay.
Any questions for Ms. Jones? All right, we'll need your full name and address as well.
Ernestine Jones,
Okay.
so at 6580 Pines Road.
Okay.
I just want to I just was going to just try to be a good neighbor and stuff like that. Yeah, and let my daughter talk.
That's okay. I think we've got what we need.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Here for support.
Anyone else wish to speak for 21-17 BAC? Anyone wish to speak against 21-17 BAC? What do we hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case 21-5 BAP, 3425 Riviera.
My name is L. Meek, live at 5900 Diane Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. Would like to get a manufactured house to go on Riviera Street so we can downsize. We're both in our 80s and we don't need to take care of all the work at Diane Street. This lot is next door to my daughter, and it would be mighty nice if we could be there.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Meek from the board? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Anyone else wish to speak for 21-5 BAP? Anyone wish to speak against case 21-5 BAP? What do we hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Moss to approve. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Tab 15 is case 21-6 BAP, Al Lane.
Hello, I'm Gabrielle Craig at 597 Williams Road, needing a lot size variance for L Lane. The land is just shy of an acre, 0.95. The required was 1 acre.
All right, any questions for Ms. Craig from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for case BAC 21-6 BAP? Anyone wish to speak against 21-6 BAP? What do we hear?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Hendricks. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Case number 21-8 BAP, 9990 Wallace Lake Road.
Shane Spann, 9990 Wallace Lake Road, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106.
All right, sir, I think we have several variances on your case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have 3 variances. One is for more than 3 structures. We bought a motorhome back in March to travel to my daughter's softball games. We have 38.7 acres, a lot of land, and we want to build a metal building to house our motorhome in on our property instead of renting it. The first one with the 3 structures, one, we have a barn now and a house and a double wide trailer house on our property. The one I wouldn't consider a structure is a water well. It's just housing our water well, one of the structures. So if we built this, I think that would be okay. The other is, it's in our front yard. It's less than 1% of our property. I'm a surveyor by trade, and I've made 175 feet from Wallace Lake Road, a gap so you can't see in our property at all. The trees are 20 to 40 foot tall, so you wouldn't be able to see the building from the road. And then lastly, bigger than your current structure, I have sent y'all house plans. We are currently designing a house that will be about 6,600 square feet under roof for our property. And then we're gonna roll the double wide trailer out of the property and live on our, in our new house very soon, so.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Span from the board?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What time frame are you looking at having your home built?
We have current house plans. We're about 80% done with them, meeting with the architect every 2 weeks out of Lafayette. And Ryan Smith's our builder. My wife is a surgeon up at Regional Urology, and we're gonna move forward very soon with house plans. We've been there for 4 years, and we bought the property so our kids could romp and play, and sold our nice city house, so we can fish and that kind of stuff.
So you're saying the construction has started, 80% finished, you said?
No, the plans. I sent the plans in. We're at a 3D model right now with the plans, but we're hoping to break ground on the new home later this fall, maybe November, December right now.
Okay.
We're working on financing and jumbo loan and that kind of stuff right now.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-8 BAP?
Jordan Barron, 117 Jordan Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. In my opinion, man bought 38 acres, lives far off the street, as he mentioned, with trees in the way so nobody can see anything. You don't get 38 acres to not do anything with it. Him building a house and putting up something to protect what he bought in his RV trailer, to put up a shed, that only makes sense. You want to protect your investments. He's got 38 acres and nobody's going to see it from the street. It's not going to bother anyone. So as long as it meets with safety standards, in the construction of it, I'd say let the man build what he wants on his property, especially if nobody's going to have to see it anyways. That's my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for case 21-8 BAP? Anyone wish to speak against 21-8 BAP? All right, unless anyone has an objection on the board, if you have a specific issue that you want to discuss about a particular variance, we could vote on these all at once. We good with that?
Yeah, good with that.
All right, so we are considering 3 variances. I believe you understand what they are, but for the record, it's structures in excess of 3 on the lot, having an accessory building in the front yard, and having an accessory structure larger than the main structure. What do we hear?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Hendricks. To approve, please vote. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. All right, case 21-10 BAP, 5904 North Market.
Hi, my name is Dwayne Hull. Shreveport Neon Signs, 1615 Barton Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107.
Did you say Hull?
Hull, H-U-L-L.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We had come earlier, I guess it was a couple of months ago, before the board, for the zoning board, for the proposition of this location here. We have a customer of ours that's wanting to put up a pylon sign on an existing structure that's already there. I don't know if you have the pictures of it. I've got one here if you need it. As you can see here, this was the old Dairy Queen up there on North Market. And I guess in that certain area there, that zone, I think it's a zone C1, which only allows for like small monument type signs. So our customer is asking to be allowed to be able to put up a pylon sign on an existing structure that's already there, which, as you can see with this structure here that's there, this proposed sign would actually be smaller than actually what is there. And if you guys know anything about this property, that property's been sitting vacant for several years. I mean, we finally got somebody in there that's going to do something with it, that's going to renovate the property and bring a little bit more business up there to that North Market area. The reason being that we were wanting that pylon sign there is for visibility, but also too, around that surrounding area there, right across the street, which I know that is not y'all's jurisdiction, but down the road, there's been pylon signs that are put up for a Wendy's there that's about 40 foot tall, Zaxby's, which is on down close to 49, which is roughly about 50 foot tall. You can see this sign here is substantially smaller than what those signs would be. So we're asking for a variance to be able to erect that the new sign on the existing structure.
All right, any questions for Mr. Hall?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Hall.
sir.
A homeowner in the area sent in a letter, they were concerned about the lighting from the sign bothering the home. Would you care to address that? Or how do you guys plan to do that? Or is there something on the sign that makes it darker at night?
No, absolutely. You can see this right here is what we call a reverse illumination on there. So what you can see is you can see the darker colors on the sign right there. The light is not going to protrude through those colors. It's going to glow a little bit, but it's not going to be like a harsh white light. The light is going to come through where it says the white area. So I can promise you, if there's a billboard or if there's a street light, it's going to be 10 times brighter than what that sign would be.
Well, and also this is oriented so that it faces the direction of oncoming traffic.
That's correct. It's not
the houses.
That's
behind.
exactly right. You're exactly right. You're correct. There's nothing going to be facing the houses or anything like that. And with it being substantially lower than what all the other high-rise pylon signs are there in that area, I would venture to say you're not even going to know it's there, to be honest with you.
I just want to address that because someone did write in about that.
No, yeah, I understand. Okay. Yeah, and also too, this is low voltage LED. This is not high output like daylights or metal halides. This is low voltage LED, so it's going to be a lot lower outage.
All right.
Okay.
Any more questions from the board for Mr. Hall? All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Anyone else wish to speak for 21-10 BAP? Anyone wish to speak against 21-10 BAP?
My name is Bruce McVeigh. I live at 5961 Yukon Drive. My house is directly behind the old Dairy Queen, and it's not so much that I'm necessarily against the sign. I don't have any information on the sign. I would like to know where it's going to be positioned, because at one time Dairy Queen put up a new light in their parking lot, and it shone right in the backside of my house. I have a koi pond in my backyard. I have a little deck where I like to sit. If you go there now, looks like there's a deer stand in my backyard. It's my daughter's playhouse. I built it up on stilts and positioned it to block the light shining. That's why I'm here. I don't know, the information I just heard from the gentleman, if that's correct, I'm probably pretty good with it. But I just wanted to make sure we're not going to have some neon sign with a digital board like they have across the street at the Sonic. That light, I don't know if y'all have any pictures of that or not, but that light can be seen all the way down North Market.
Right. Well, if you're familiar, they're just resurfacing the Dairy Queen sign.
Yeah, but is it going to be in the same spot?
Yeah, the sign's not moving.
The sign's not moving.
Okay. That's my question.
If the sign were to move, it could not go back.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's why they're resurfacing the face of it with the new
Well, see, they took down some trees and everything, and when it said it was so many feet from Roy Road, well, that's a little further down, and I didn't know where the sign they were wanting to put up. There was not any information given to me.
Yeah,
about that.
the pole sign that is the Dairy Queen sign is not moving.
Okay.
They are putting up a smaller square foot face for the new business, and they will be required to put in a planter at the base of it to create more of a barrier around it to make it more like a monument sign in appearance from the road.
Okay.
But other than that, and as you heard earlier, it will be facing the direction of traffic, not toward the
back
of the property. As far as street lights and security lights, that's not an issue in front of us. That's an issue, you know, to deal. I mean, I'm sure if you got with them before they do any more work, you could address your concerns. Perhaps they could put a, you know, some street lights have a shade, a baffle that they can put on.
Well, but like I said, this was several years ago when
Right.
Dairy Queen was there. They changed the parking lot light.
Yeah.
And all at once I come home and one night my whole backyard's illuminated.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So-
sure that Mr. Hall could put you in touch with the owners.
Okay.
And perhaps y'all could discuss that and come to some kind of agreement.
Okay.
But as far as the sign is, it's not being moved.
It's not being
It's
moved,
just being refaced.
You're just being refaced. Okay.
All right.
That's what I needed to know.
Thank you, Mr.
sir.
McVeigh. Anyone else wish to speak against 21-10 BAP? All right, what do we hear?
Move to approve.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Hendricks to approve. Please vote. All right, motion carries unanimously. That brings us to the end of our public hearing. I don't believe we have any committee chair reports. I will, I guess, go to Mr. Jean if we have anything from staff or administration. I know we all wish Mr. Clark well on his vacation.
That's about all of my report. I'm just going to talk about the fact that he's on vacation, and we really don't have a formal report for today.
Okay. The only thing I have is, since we do have the resignation from Ms. Pearson, who is our secretary, we do need to install a new secretary. I can either take volunteers or if anyone wants to nominate someone for next meeting, we should plan to vote next meeting on someone, knowing that the term will only be for a few months. It'll take us through December when the board gets restructured.
When is the new person being appointed? When will they start?
They're going to
well,
vote.
the
They're
new
going to vote Thursday, so we should have a new person.
They'll be
on
here
the
next
board
week.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as you know, the secretary really has one job, and that's to sign the minutes. And in the I guess, the unlikely case where both the chair and vice chair are absent, they would chair the meeting. But it's something that just as a formality, we need to fill that position for the remainder of this year.
Well, I'll step up.
Okay, well then we'll vote, just to make sure we do it correctly, and let Mr. Clark weigh in on it. We will plan to vote.
Okay.
We'll put that on the agenda for next month.
All right.
To vote on that and to confirm that. All right?
Okay.
Any comments from the board, questions? Thank you all for coming today, and thank you. That's all right. There's a message at your office for you.
I got stuff by the train, so.
All right, thank you to staff, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Thank y'all. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.